Hey guys, welcome back to Flat Creek Outdoors. I'm Phil, and today I've got a question for you. Do you know what this tool is? Looks like that. Well, I learned what this is mostly because of you guys. So I posted a video the other day of the new saw sharpener that I got, which was this electric sharp Pebble tool that I got on Amazon, and I showed it in use for the first time, and I tried to touch up the chain on this Echo saw, and it was still cutting rather poorly, and I showed in that video how it was making cuts off in a curve. So a number of you commented on that video about what might be causing that, and you know, your feedback kind of ran the full spectrum. But I went through a little bit of a process here today, and we're going to get this thing straightened out, and I'll share with you what I did. So this tool is the depth gauge, and it was this that I believe made the biggest difference for fixing up my saw. I will say the first thing I did was I went across all of the teeth again with the sharp Pebble sharpener. I actually took the guide off. I showed in the last video it came with this little angle guide that went on there, and it has a little angle mark so you can line this up with your bar and you can get whatever desired angle you want. But this chain actually has lines on the teeth for the appropriate angle, so I found without the guide I could just easily line up the tool with the line that was on the tooth already and get the appropriate angle. So I went through everything, made sure all of the teeth were cut at the same angle. Someone actually commented about the angle of the tool relative to the angle of my bar. So if the bar was like this, for example, there were some shots where I could see in that last video I had the tool either low or high like this and not perfectly perpendicular. So I went back over everything and was just extra careful. So now I think the teeth are about as good as they're going to get using this tool. And the next thing I did was I actually had to look up, based on your feedback, the depth gauge. So someone mentioned making sure that the rakers are at the appropriate depth. I have a history of just every time I sharpen the saw with a hand file, I would go over the rakers with 2 or 3 swipes with a flat file. I have never been precise about it, and that's where this tool comes in. So if you buy a basic tool sharpening set, I've had this one here for a couple years, actually, since when I bought my first saw, and this has always been in there. I honestly didn't know what it was, and I've never used it, but it's really simple to use, I've come to find out. And all you need to do is set this tool on your chainsaw bar, and with it actually has 2 sets of depth gauges, which I'll show you in a second, but with the middle section on top of one of the teeth, you can look at the raker right next to it, and it should be in line with this gauge. If it sticks above the metal of this gauge, you just hit it with a flat file and knock off the excess. So this depth gauge actually has 2 depths on it. It has 0.3 inches here in the middle, and then it has 0.25 or 0.025 out here on the edges. I use the middle gauge, so that's going to give me a slightly deeper cut. What I did today was make sure everything was set to this depth, and I went through the entire thing and made sure all of them are consistent in their depth. Now there were a couple that I had hand filed previously a little bit lower than others, so there's still a couple rakers here that are, you know, scattered throughout the chain that are a little bit lower than the others, but to the best that I could, I got all of the remaining teeth as consistent as I could get them. So let's go see how this saw cuts, and then maybe we'll split some wood. Let's get to it. Got some nice straight cuts now. So you look straight down on it, put something flat against it, you can see that's as straight as I think we're gonna get. That looks great. So those logs were smaller than the examples I did the other day. So I've got the rest of that log right here. It's much larger than those. We'll see if we can make a straight cut through that one. Okay guys, on the left we've got the cut I just made. It is nice and straight. On the right is the curved slopey cut that I cut the other day. So you can see night and day improvement. And not only that, but it cut faster as well. Those cuts that I did the other day, I went ahead and timed it here just based on the footage, and you can see it's just so much slower than the cut I did today on the same log with the same saw. So thanks again to you guys who kind of pointed out what I was doing wrong with my other sharpening video, and maybe helping me diagnose what was wrong with it or what to fix with it to get it cutting right. We are definitely cutting right now. So I'm going to load up a few rounds on the four-wheeler trailer here, and then we'll head over to the Wolfe Ridge splitter and split a little bit of wood today because it's a nice day, so why not? Alright guys, got that split up pretty quick. There wasn't that much wood on that trailer, but I just wanted to run the splitter for a little bit today before I headed home. So thanks for watching. We got the saw all straightened out. Glad I could show you what worked for that. You guys had a bunch of recommendations in the last video about you know, all the possibilities of what it could be, but we got it straightened out. I'm glad I figured out what that tool was to get the right depth on the rakers, and now I can keep my saw finely tuned going forward, because up to this point, and for what, going on 3+ years now doing this stuff out here on my property, I've just been fumbling along, keeping my saw sort of sharp, but now I think we're going to be able to keep it really sharp going forward, and that's going to make us a lot more productive. So thanks again for watching today, guys. I appreciate you. See you on the next video. Bye-bye.